Good morning, students. How are you today? Let's just wait for the others to join the meeting. Oh, I think everyone is already here. And before anything else, let's start our class with a prayer. Jamia, please lead the prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now, I will check the attendance. Oh, good. No one is absent. Everyone is present. Before we formally start with our class discussion, we will have classroom gamification called Play Listening Games, wherein you must listen intently, wait, and then react if the statement is good or not. If the statement is good, you say hooray. If it's not, then you say no. So now, let's start. The first statement is a teenager attempting to convince her parents that she needs to be able to stay out until 11 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. Is it hooray or no? Great! The next one, a student council president trying to convince school administrators to allow the students to have a dance after the final football game of the season. Is it hooray or no? Very good! The last statement, chippers are the crispiest, crunchiest, and most delicious brand of chips you will ever taste. Buy a bag today. Is it hooray or no? Great students, your participation are well appreciated. Now, we are done with our classroom gamification. I prepared some questions to know your insights. What idea can you infer from the activity? Alexandra? Thank you for that answer. Next, what do you think is the importance of listening when you react? Jaime? Great! And last, based on the activity, what is the discussion all about? Do you have any idea? Okay, Amandra? Great! Now that we are done with those introductory activities and stimulating questions, we will formally start our discussion. I will share my screen. Wait for a moment. Is it visible on your end, everyone? Okay, thank you for confirming. We're going to discuss argumentative and persuasive text. What is argumentative text? An argumentative text is one that has the purpose of showing opinions in favor of a particular subject and of convincing or persuading the reader about some ideas or a particular position. In other words, it can try to change the reader's mind or offer solid arguments that ratify and strengthen his or her ideas, in case they are the same as the text itself. Argumentative text has its own goal, general technique, viewpoint, audience, and attitude. The goal of this argumentative text is to get reader to acknowledge that your side is valid and deserves consideration as another point of view. In terms of general technique, it offers the reader relevant reasons, credible facts, and sufficient evidence to support that the writer has a valid and worthy perspective. And when in terms of viewpoint, argumentative texts acknowledge that opposing views exist, not only to hint at what a fair-minded person you are, but to give you the opportunity to counter these views tactfully in order to show why you feel that your own view is the more worthy one to hold. Writer presents multiple perspectives, although is clearly for one side. It doesn't need an audience to convince. The writer is content with simply putting it out there. Lastly, its attitude is simply to get the reader to consider you have an idea worthy of listening to. The writer is sharing a conviction whether the audience ends up agreeing or not. Some examples of argumentative text. Dieting makes people fat. Romantic love is a poor basis for marriage. The other example, The war on terror has contributed to the growing abuse of human rights. High school graduates should take a year off before entering college. The last example is all citizens should be required by law to vote. Are you still with me, class? Great! Good to hear that. This time, let's move on to the next text, which is the persuasive text. What is persuasive text? A persuasive text is any text where the main purpose is to present a point of view and seeks to persuade a reader. A persuasive text can be an argument, exposition, discussion, review, or even an advertisement. And it has different goal, general technique, viewpoint, audience, and attitude from argumentative text. Its goal is to get the reader to agree with you or your point of view on a particular topic. When in terms of general technique, it blends facts and emotion in an attempt to convince the reader that the writer is right. And in terms of viewpoint, persuasion has a single-minded goal. It is based on a personal conviction that a particular way of thinking is the only sensible way to think. Writer presents one side, which is his side. And unlike argumentative text, it needs intended audience, knowing what they think and believe. The writer attacks attempting to persuade them to his side. Lastly, in terms of attitude, persuasive writers want to gain another vote, so they go after readers more aggressively. Persuasive writing is more personal, more passionate, and more emotional. Some examples are: immigration contributes to the overall health of the American economy. The second example, Chomper's dog food is sure to make your dog's tail wag. The third example, if you truly love your pup, you'll try one of our all-natural selections today. And the fourth example, our holistic headache medication will get rid of your headache with just one pill, and fewer side effects than aspirin or ibuprofen. Be good to your body and try it today. And for the last example of persuasive text is, Alexi mattress is the most comfortable bed you'll ever sleep on. Take a 30-day trial and see for yourself. If you're not satisfied, we'll come to your home, remove the mattress, and refund you in full. You've got nothing to lose. Give it a try today. Now, class, do you understand our lesson for today? Great to hear that. But to wrap up the discussion, persuasive and argumentative texts differ from each other since they have distinct features that the other doesn't have. The listeners must listen to how the speaker authored or composed the text or statement in order to know the specific type of text it implies. Now, after the discussion and wrapping up all of it, let's have a practice exercise. This activity is called Hear Me Actively. In this activity, you need to have one argumentative statement and one persuasive statement. And those students in their seats must listen carefully to generate the important information after listening to it, and identify if it is an argumentative text or persuasive text. So now, let's start. I will call on Feli. Okay, Feli? Great! Another one. Okay, Kim? Very good, Kim. Now, I will call on Nathan. Good, Nathan. Now, to those who are listening, who can volunteer to give their insights about the importance of listening in knowing the essence of the statement and to identify if it is an argumentative or persuasive text. Okay, Amandra. Continue. Wow, great! Thank you for that sensible insight, Amandra. Wow! Congrats everyone! You did well in our practice activity. Now, let's move on to the next step, which is to check your full understanding of the discussion and wrapping up for the clear and concise comprehension. To assess your knowledge, differentiate argumentative and persuasive texts. Write the differences and similarities between argumentative and persuasive text based on the practice activity. I will give you 5 minutes to answer. You may now start answering. Send or pass your answer in the in-call message of this Google Meet. Now that 5 minutes is done, this time we will assess your creativity and critical thinking skills to truly test if you really understood the lesson. This time, you need to construct inferences and appreciate the importance of argumentative and persuasive text in gaining information through listening. I will author the I Have a Dream, an excerpt by Martin Luther King Jr. So, you must listen carefully to gain important information from the text in order for you to compose conclusions with much appreciation for the value of argumentative and persuasive text through listening. So now, let's start. I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. Now, good luck guys! Start composing your inferences after you listen to the excerpt that I read. I will give you 15 minutes to pin in your composition in the in-call message of this Google Meet. Time's up! All the answers must be in the in-call message. Those who sent beyond the time I set will have deduction on their scores. And before dismissing our class, I will leave you an assignment. I will share my screen. Wait for a moment, class. Is it visible in your end, everyone? Okay, thank you for confirming. Please copy and write it in your English notebook. I think everyone is done writing. That's all for today. Goodbye, class, and don't forget to finish your assignment. See you tomorrow.